What's up? Okay, today I'm gonna be talking about the ego. What is it? How to see through it, things like that, where it comes from, you know, its causes, maybe its consequences. But first, I would like to ask anyone watching this to empty their cup. So, what I mean by that is if you just believe what I say, intellectually, without looking at what I'm pointing at, then you're gonna miss it 100%. So, don't just believe me, investigate for yourself, look for yourself, see if what I'm saying holds any value. Okay? That's the first one. The second one, if you just doubt what I say, maybe like because I'm young or you don't like how I speak, you don't like my face, whatever, if you just disregard what I say, I ask you to put that aside right now, open up your mind, and just, you know, look for yourself again, investigate for yourself, don't jump to any conclusions because again, you're gonna miss it. And yeah, so how to approach this video? When I say something that relates to your experience, maybe even pause it, but look at your own experience, directly. If I say thoughts are like this, look at your thoughts, see if they're like that, um, and things like that. So you're gonna take away the most from this video. Because generally, if you don't look, if you just analyze or disregard what I say, you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna, it's pointless. Maybe it's not completely pointless because maybe if you do notice it eventually, you're gonna remember what I said here, and it might, help you recognize it. But still, if you wanna directly take away something from this video, just look, directly look, okay? Doesn't matter who's looking, doesn't matter, none of that stuff matters. Just like focus your attention on what I'm saying. So yeah, that was a long intro, but thank you for staying through it, and let's get right into it. So the ego, right? We hear this word a lot in many spiritual traditions, even in psychology. It's in our language, the ego. What does it mean? What does it point to? We're here to find out. So, before we get into that, I would like to establish two concepts that I talked about in a previous video too, but are important when it comes to understanding what the ego is. And those are practical memory and psychological memory. So I'm gonna split memory conceptually into two types of memory: psychological and practical. Um, so yeah, let's talk about them. So first, practical memory. This one's pretty easy to understand. It's basically memory of like skills, things we know that are practical for everyday use, like for example, how to drive a car, how to make food, how to speak a language, how to wash your hands, how to brush your teeth, how to make coffee, how to pour yourself a cup of water, how to walk, you know, what brings us joy. So, what things are fun and pleasant, what things are painful and harmful. So, you're not going to put your hand in a fire because you have a practical memory that fire hurts. That's practical memory. It's basically memory that's necessary, or I guess that functions in a way that's practical for our being, right? Um, yeah, then we have psychological memory. Now, this one's a little bit tricky to see because people can take it as practical memory, but it's not. So, psychological memory, let's just say I'll give an example for One Piece. Practical memory regarding One Piece would be, oh, One Piece is fun to watch, it brings me joy, it's entertaining. So, if I want to be entertained, I go to One Piece, I go watch One Piece, and it's fun, right? That's practical. That's basically you practically know where to get a little bit of joy from. Now the psychological version of that would be I love One Piece. One Piece is a big part of my life. It changed my life. I really love it. I identify with the characters. It makes me happy. You know, it you know what I'm trying to say? It's like there's this sort of psychological identity tied to it, right? So now let me give another example. If for example, if I remember One Piece more in a practical way and someone said One Piece sucks, I would be like, that's just their opinion, whatever. It brings me joy, that's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less, just you know what I mean? Doesn't matter. Now, if I'm like, I love One Piece, One Piece is my favorite anime. Me, I, One Piece, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to say? Then when they say One Piece sucks, I'm offended because I love One Piece. See what I'm trying to say? That's psychological memory. It's basically memory that sort of reinforces an idea of a self, because I hope I gave a good example. I can give a couple more. Practical memory. I know how to drive. Maybe I know how to drive well, whatever. You know, Psychological memory. I'm a good driver. Now, if you just know how to drive and someone says you're a bad driver, you're gonna be like, okay, whatever. I know how to drive. That's it. If uh, if it's psychological memory, I'm a good driver, and someone says you're a bad driver, that goes directly against your identity. Basically, rejects how you see yourself and it offends you. No, I'm not. I'm a good driver because of this. You bring out a bunch more psychological memory, right? Or like, let's say you're sick, you know, that like, if you're sick, you know, you're gonna be like, if it's practical, like, oh, I'm sick, I should just rest. It's fine. I'm just sick. If it's more psychological, now I'm not going into memory. I kind of sidetracked a little bit, but I'm gonna finish this thought. But if it's psychological, like, why me? Oh, I have to go to work. Oh, I have this. Why is this happening to me? Oh no. It's not like, oh, I'm sick. This is what's happening. So I'm just gonna like live it, let it pass, whatever. It's more like, why is this happening to me? I blah 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 me. You know what I'm saying? This me, this memory that's tied to this me. And that ties closely into what the ego is. It's a bundle of psychological memory. You know, we're always just being, you know, you always are. You don't have to try to be. Then we have this psychological memory, which is just like thoughts and images appearing in our direct experience. And most people, their whole, most of their memory is psychological. Yeah, it's mixed with practical memory, but they see it as psychological memory. They spend hours or their whole day just thinking in psychological memory. I'm like this, I like this, he said this, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things are really hard to talk about. That's why I want you to notice them. But yeah, this constant loop, self-reinforcing loop of psychological memory is basically what the ego is. And it's not just words that are memory, it's also images. It's also your face. Again, see, this video doesn't follow any structure. If you've noticed, I'm kind of just going off of seeing and like spending so much time just observing, meditating, whatever. That like at this point, I kind of gotten a little bit comfortable talking about this, where before I wasn't really comfortable talking about this. But there's also this tension associated with the ego. See, I'm not gonna definitely define it because you really can't. I'm just gonna point out many things, and hopefully you notice what I'm talking about. But there's this tension associated with the ego, like a bodily tension. Like Alan Watts talked about this often. He would say they're like, when they say pay attention, you kind of scrunch up your face, pretend to pay attention, you know, or like listen, you kind of like listen, Well, there's like this not only a memory, like not only thoughts about me. I am this, I am that, blah blah blah. You know, because you can totally live off of just practical memory. You don't have to self-reference everything. You could just like, oh, thirsty, get water. I remember how to get water. You know what I mean? So, what was I saying? 1 second. Tension. Okay, tension. Um, yeah, a lot of people hold a face. I don't know how to explain this. This one's really funny, but that how do I recognize if someone has? It's so dumb to talk about. Like language really is riddled with ego. Oh my god, so hard to talk about it, but like I'm trying right here. There's this face people hold, right? It's not a natural face. Like if you're happy, you smile. That's natural. If you're sad, you cry. That's fine. Um, but like there's this like almost character being acted out. Most people hold a certain face. Like I see a lot of like people at work, and when they come all sad and like, and their whole life they're like, those people hold this face, tension, just relax. Look how calm my face is right now. I'm not holding any face. And if I laugh, it's not a forced smile because I'm happy. But like, people hold a face. You can see it. It's like they put on a mask, have this tension. Someone's like smiling, like, hold the face, or this, or like, uh, hmm. Like you can just see see how like right now my face is all relaxed, no tension, and then the moment like I try to be someone like there's this different intensity when I'm holding a face. Can you see that? I don't know how to explain. This one's really funny, but like you can look how people just like or um like when they're in public, when they're around other people. See, I'm not judging by the way, like you can't really help it. I'm just trying to point out things. But like I've only heard Alan reference this whole tension thing that people hold their body in a certain way, their face in a certain way, and that's also part of the ego. Like this character you're playing, like where your facial feature. You know how when like Jim Carrey does impressions? Have you seen that video? He kind of also mimics the face of the person he's impersonating. Bec- because like that's part of it, not just the way of speaking, but like the face, man. You can totally see it on the face. Let me try to do another face. Let me think of. Do you see the difference? Is me relaxed? Face. I'm trying to do a face when I was like a teenager and I thought I was really badass listening to anime music. I was like, you see the difference? How it's just there's just like no relaxed being, and then like trying to put myself in a situation like now I'm holding the face. You know what I'm saying? It's the face, man. The face. I can just read people's faces. It's funny as fuck. Um, again, not judging, but like you can just tell everything about a person by their face. Like, are they like how their lives going? Like, what sort of tension they hold in their face or in their posture? Or just loosen up, man. Whew. Just like whew. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting more comfortable. But this is a funny position. Hell yeah. But yeah, the face, the body tension. There's like spots on the body where you just consistently do things a certain way because it's just like it's a pattern of behavior, a pattern of thinking, a pattern, a cluster of psychological memory. And it's a character. We're constantly in a state of becoming when we're really just being. Like a bird that doesn't try to be a bird, it's just a bird. and you are something, whatever that is. But most people are trying to be something, right? Not that what they are, but they're trying to be something. They're trying to be confident, they're trying to be smart, be wise, be so hard to come up with examples unless I'm directly watching someone, which sounds a little creepy, but but like, I mean, I'm trying to become something. I gotta be better. I gotta be, you know, be something. Gotta be successful. I mean, so silly when you can just be, just just like the tree. It just is. It's not doesn't care if it never travels. It just is. It's perfectly being a tree. A bird is perfectly being a bird. A cat is just being a cat. It behaves a certain way, but it's not trying. It's not referencing itself in its head all the time. I'm doing this. I feel like this. Blah blah blah. But we humans, we just can't just be, man. We just gotta become. We keep becoming, becoming, becoming. And that's what the ego is. It's a cycle of becoming someone. This idea of what you are. Instead of just being what you are. And it's a tension. It's a tension in the face. It's a tension in the body. It's a tension of thoughts. It's a cluster of repeating thoughts going on loop, self-referencing. And when you meditate, this is what you see. But you can see this even when you don't meditate, by just being mindful, being aware of your own being. And you know you just are what you are. But people are trying to be something they're not. you know um does that make sense? I don't know. But yeah, the ego. I didn't say anything definite in this video. I was just pointing out things. I hope someone looked and noticed. That would be cool. Comment down below any thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Helps me out. Because I do want to get these videos out to more people. I think spreading the word and us discussing this together is useful for everyone. And just like commenting and just interacting, like this community of, let's just see through these things together. The more collectively we investigate, the better, right? I mean, who knows? But yeah, and if you want to see more content, you can subscribe. And yeah, see you around. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.